All right. So let's get the show on the road. Finally,
All
a
right.
race again in your backyard, huh?
Yeah, finally. Yeah, it's been a little bit, so yeah. Now I don't have to travel for this one. I'll be here.
And the weather's going to be okay?
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. There's, like I said, there's a small chance for Sunday, but Friday, Saturday, great.
We have to finally, because whenever NASCAR gives us something to applaud, we will applaud it. And that
Yep.
is that as soon as because I always, I don't record the pre-race stuff. It's just terrible. So
Yeah.
so as soon as I turned on the recording of the race at whatever 3:00, they're all ready to race. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Really? I go, must be something. There must be rain in the forecast. And sure enough, because they didn't dilly dally for another 30, 45 minutes, they were able to get the race in on time, barely.
Barely. See, if they would have left it alone, they probably would have rained, and then it really would have all hell broke loose, because then you would have had the drivers that were leading when it rained still get disqualified. So,
that's
or maybe that's a good angle I never thought of. What if it rained? Because they clearly put the tape on, as they knew it was there. They knew there was an advantage. Do they take it off during the rainstorm? And then when the cars get inspected, it's not there, and therefore they keep the win. That's an interesting angle I didn't even think of. Might have to ask some drivers that this weekend. If it rained, do you think they would have kept that tape there?
All right. What do you guys think out there? Look, the whole thing is you don't really believe to what they say. Like what the Gibbs team or Joe Gibbs says after. You don't believe anything they say. They just say it's just a game. And that's why we said it a couple weeks ago. It's like the WWE and NASCAR. You don't believe anything.
I wish a team would just come out and tell the truth when it was just a small piece of tape. It had no advantage. Well, then why'd you do it? It's like, come on. If it had no effect on it, then you wouldn't have done it.
You're not going to get penalized anymore. I mean, you took the penalty.
Exactly. Yep.
You didn't appeal, which means you knew what you were doing.
That tells me everything. You didn't appeal, so it's that's what I just get sick of, the PR speak when they get caught. Just admit you were cheating and you got caught.
One of these days.
And we'd move on. Yep. But yeah, don't insult our intelligence when all the other teams are basically saying, that gives you an aerodynamical, some drag.
Now
helps reduce drag.
Were the other two Toyotas checked?
No.
So they probably had the same thing.
I would assume so. Yeah. And that's what I think a lot of people are asking, well, why didn't they inspect them all? Or
they can't do that.
Like, you can't. Or like, why was Chase Elliott's car not inspected? That? Well, they don't expect. You don't go in thinking like, oh yeah, all these cars are cheating, so we're gonna. I mean, that take days.
Why do you think they would? Why do you think they would check two Toyotas though? Why wouldn't they just say, we'll take the first guy, and then since Chevy's third, we'll take the Chevy instead of another Toyota?
They typically take the first couple.
Okay.
And it just happened to be they were teammates that finished 1-2. But by time you get them inspected and get them through the process, the other guys are long gone. So you're not going to call Martin Truex Jr. and Christopher Bell's haulers and say, hey, we need you to come back. We now need to look at your cars. Like, screw you, I'm gone.
Yeah.
that piece is a lot
on the highway
too. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. A lot of times too, if you're not getting inspected and you had something illegal on, you're probably, by the time that car goes on the hauler, you're taking it off.
Not giving anybody a chance to. Hey, by the way, no.
I have a feeling though. Usually, where there's smoke, there's fire. They probably weren't the only two that probably did this. Usually it's monkey see, monkey do. So most of their teams probably might have solved this and done this. It's just they finished 1-2 and they get penalized.
But it was kind of interesting in a way, because Denny Hamlin looked like his car was like totally out of it twice and still won the race. So it was like, all right, you can kind of almost believe that they had to have had some sort of an advantage to have just keep getting pushed aside, and they're still winning and dominating the race. So,
yes,
and
it goes back for another, oddly enough, another driver that didn't lead a lap in the first two stages. He started on the pole, but he didn't lead the opening lap.
Hey,
and
a trend is a trend until it stops being a trend.
It is, because I was looking at it, I'm like, well, I guess I better change it. and go back and look at this again now that Chase Elliott was scored the winner. Then I look, Chase Elliott didn't even lead a single lap. So it still kind of follows the trend. He didn't even lead a lap, but
that was the crazy thing. Not just about the two disqualified drivers, but the fact that of all drivers to be finishing third was the hottest driver on the planet.
Yep, it definitely. If you were a gambler and because I could see where you wouldn't have. I almost not with Chase Elliott last week. If he, like you mentioned before, like you just ride the hot hand. I didn't the one week, and it almost bit me, and I wasn't going to do it again. Like I'm no matter what, going to throw money his way because he is the hottest driver. And a lot of times they always say to get lucky, sometimes you have to put yourself in position. He did. He was the top finisher of guys. And we can't sit here and say today whether his car had or hadn't the same advantage that the Gibbs cars. They just didn't, because they finished third, they just didn't get it looked at. But yeah, hottest driver. But if you didn't bet on him and he's the guy that's handed the win, I'd be pretty furious. So like, come on.
Yes.
So,
and that's happened before. It happened to me in the Kentucky Derby last year.
Oh yeah,
I picked Mandaloon, who was like a 14 or 15 to 1 shot to win. He comes in second, and then it took 8 months, whatever, almost a full year before they disqualified officially the winner of the race. It's like, well, that doesn't do me any good. Nobody's giving me the money for the ticket I had, which would have been a win. So I know the feeling. Okay, so and by the way, I thought it was an okay race for Pocono.
Yeah,
it's all right. We had several other leaders, and we had the different strategies. But unfortunately, because maybe Hamlin and Kyle were so souped up, it was just, you kind of knew unless there was a caution in the last hour of the race, nothing was going to happen. It was just going to be Hamlin and Kyle.
Yeah, it was better. I guess, and I'm also happy that there's only one of them. I'm glad we don't have to go there twice.
Absolutely.
I'm glad we don't have another race the next day.
No.
It was enough to whet my appetite for Pocono. That's why I think maybe it was better, because I didn't have to watch the same thing the next day, or I didn't watch the same thing like
back
2 months from now.
Yeah. It's
like
over.
Pocono's good for
nice.
And the crowd was, from what I saw, the biggest in decades.
There you go.
So it worked.
Yep.
The ratings were up a little bit, so that goes to my theory, what I've been saying for years. Other than Daytona, Bristol, maybe Martinsville, we don't need to go anywhere twice. Let's go everywhere once. And like they always used to say at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here for the Indy 500, we're like the circus. We come once a year. If you don't come, you're going to miss us and have to wait a whole nother year to see us again. So it drew people out there. So I think I was kind of lobbying that, like, man, I'd be okay if Pocono dropped from the schedule to one's good.
Fine.
I think you could stay.
Good.
I'm good
Especially
with
the new
Let's
car. It was fine.
Yep.
It's still, again, we can understand how it could have been. Like, and look, it could still have been if the results had held up. Like I said, the last hour wasn't very exciting, but in all, maybe if there wasn't any cheating, it could have been even better. So you never know.
Well, I think it's ironic that Michael McDowell, who finished 8th, was just docked 100 points for having a legal part on his car too. So, he got DQ'd. Well, they kept the finish because they said the results were final Sunday night. That's why they do the DQs.
Well, a team like McDowell, they might as well, in certain circumstances, take the chance because they have to win. They don't care about points.
Yep. Nope. Docking 100 points is nothing. Granted, I think they got fined like 100,000, and
it's different.
The crew chief, and they're appealing, so their crew chief will be here at Indy this weekend. But if you took 2 random cars and one of them was illegal, you got the top 2 finishers. Both of those, you're batting 100, were illegal. 75% of the cars you took from Pocono were illegal. How many more were there? I have a feeling it's
a lot more.
So I don't know if we're getting to the nitty gritty.
Do you think it could have been a 2-mile track kind of thing? This is a different type of track. We're never in this kind of configuration. That's it, right? It's only Pocono, correct?
Yep. I think it's yes. That's it. It's the only thing. There's no other.
Is it 2.5 or 2?
2.5.
2.5. So there's no other. We don't have Indianapolis anymore.
No, and it's not a 2.5 like Daytona. It's not a super speedway. So this is a standalone. You're not going to have anything from this race that's going to translate the rest of the year.
So let's try to soup it up.
Yeah, and plus, look, we're getting close to the end of the regular season. I think teams thought, hey, we've gone long enough without any major penalties. Let's see how close they're looking. Let's try it. Well, you got caught. To me, it's just bad luck for McDowell. You're the one. They just took 2 random cars, and he was one of them.
Imagine if Martin Truex Jr. if they would have gotten points taken away. That would Truex, Blaney, and Harvick. Those are 3 drivers that cannot afford a penalty. They cannot go over the line. They're in the position they're in. They just have now. Look, Blaney and Truex, of course, are in a much better position, but still, takes one Harvick win, and all of a sudden, it's Blaney and Truex battling for the final spot.
Exactly. And and if you're Harvick too, you don't want to push the limit and get your points taken away just on the off chance. Yeah, because on the off chance of Truex does, well, look how much ground you made up. So those 3 I think have to play in a box. Even if you know everybody's cheating, you have to play in the box, because if you do go on the side of, we better cheat too, but if you win, your car's getting inspected and it's coming back. Right. So you're probably better finishing 5th with a legal car than winning with an illegal car, because it's getting taken away anyways.
Okay, so the way the playoffs are right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but any driver who right now is 17th and lower, like Harvick, who's 17th, realistically will not be able to make the playoffs without a win.
Yeah, I don't think Harvick's 80-some back.
Yeah, 83,
it's just not. Yeah,
there's
not enough time.
Like if Truex had 1 DNF, what does that do for the points? If Harvick finishes in a top 5 this week and Truex DNFs, what kind of shrinkage in points do we see?
Basically a race,
which is
still 40. I think it's 43, 44 points is the most you can score, something around there. So let's say he gets 0. Let's just say Truex completely is DQ'd and gets 0, and let's say Harvick
top 5
for this argument. Yeah, we'll just say second. He doesn't win, so he didn't get a spot. But let's say he gets 42 points.
Then he's in
still,
half. He's got in half.
So So look at it. Harvick is basically 2 races down with 5 to go.
Well, the thing is that, and we've been previewing this for a month or so, pre-warning this, that with this week road course, with Watkins Glen road course and Daytona, you can easily DNF. You can easily wreck your car like we saw last year with Truex. We'll get into the race in a minute from last year, but this is definitely, even this week, and those other 2 races where you can get yourself in trouble.
Yep. If I'm Truex, even being 83,
I want to win.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, I got to win.
Yeah, because Toyota has been terrible on road courses this year. They've admitted it. I don't think anything's going to change. I don't know how it does. Daytona, he's like, I think Truex, is like out of the 73 points paying super speedway races that he's running, he's only got like 4 top 5s. He's never won. So you got to look at the Indy, Watkins Glen, and Daytona. Truex is not winning. And there's a good chance he's not even finishing the top 20. So he's really down to Michigan and Richmond. That's it. And
because he doesn't do well at Daytona. Yeah.
No. So, I'm still sweating it because Harvick hasn't been great on super speedways or road courses. He's been all right. But he's the same boat, Michigan and Richmond, because what happens if – I still find it hard to believe Blaney isn't going to win over these next 5 races, especially how good he's been on super speedways. And he's been finishing well on road courses, that I find it hard to believe he won't win. And then that leaves one more spot. What happens if Bubba Wallace wins Daytona or Justin Haley wins Daytona? So those guys need to win. There's nothing more to it. And you're in the boat now. If you're Harvick, and Truex knows this, knowing that he's probably not points in his way in, he's going off strategy on everything. There is no reason for Kevin Harvick or anybody lower in the points to say, hey, I'm riding in 10th. I'm going to do what the leader does. Nope, I don't care if my tires have been on since stage 1. You stay out. You find a way to go off strategy. And with 5 chances, I think lightning might strike it once out of 5 for one of these guys, especially in one of the races, Daytona. So I would not feel comfortable if I was Truex or Harvick right now.
Before we preview the race, and I've been also previewing this discussion for several weeks, and that is our futures. I think it's a good week to talk futures because this past week we had a lot of changes as far as championship futures. Now, Elliott is the clear favorite, and understandably so, at 3-1. And you guys went ahead and, matter of fact, you both have Elliott. Elliott right now for you is still, though, a couple of actually for you, Elliott is what? How much are you down? A couple thousand. Same thing for CJ. You're both a couple thousand down. But again, keeping in mind that once we get into the playoffs, we're going to have the weekly maximums increase $100 per race all the way through to the championship. So it's going to culminate with a $1,000 wagering limit per driver for the Xfinity 500 at Martinsville. What race is that? That is the second to last race.
Second to last.
And then the championship 4 race maximums increased to $2,000 per driver. So we still have time, even for the guys like Elliott, to get your money back, or who knows, maybe even make money if that's the guy that you want to go all in on. Because Kyle Larson is 8-1.
Yeah, he keeps falling back, and that's the only reason I threw some back on Elliott, and I've done Chastain, is knowing that the maximums are going to go up. Or I can close this, get some now to close that maximum up later. But my mind still doesn't change necessarily with Larson a lot. Yeah, he hasn't won since Fontana, but he's quietly getting better again. And the thing that concerns me about Elliott, which when I will get in my picks and why I went more all in on these guys this week, is can he sustain this?
He's too hot.
For 15
he's too
weeks
hot right now.
Exactly. Yeah. I think he's going. Oddly enough, I think he's peaking too soon.
Possibly.
I'm afraid that because if you're them, let's put yourself in their shoes for a minute. You got 5 straight top 2s. How much are you changing on your car right
Nothing.
now? Knowing that, hey, we're in the zone.
Yeah.
What can you change? Yeah. Everybody else is chasing him. So they're trying different things. I don't know how much they're trying. I don't know how you do. I don't know what areas do you need to, other than everybody could use more speed. That's across the board. So that's one thing. But as far as tinkering with your car to find advantages, I don't know where you find it at if you're them. The one thing he'll have going for him is he's accumulating a lot of these playoff points, which they only get you so far, though. So that's not going to win you a championship.
Yeah, but don't you think like this week, Elliott's going to take those points, those stage points?
I don't think he will anymore.
Really?
I think he'll go for the win. Well, he's over 100 some up on.
So you think he doesn't even need to do it anymore?
I think for him, he's just going to go for race wins because you get 5 playoff points to win the race. Okay. So I think for him, he's like, we've got a good enough car. Let's just go for the win at this point. Stage points, it did for him a few weeks ago, but his gap went from like 40 up on second in regular season points to he's like 102 or 103 up.
Okay.
You pretty much handed him the regular season championship, which gets you 15 more playoff points. So I think for him, he's probably like, that's 15. And then any other race win between now and Daytona is 5 more on top of that. So I think for them, you just go for the win.
Okay, so then let's say, because as far as the way that we, and again, you can check out all of this information at racereviewonline.net. So Eric spells out all of the information, all of our picks, and how much we invested in it and so forth. So, and the current odds, futures odds. So right now, I could make money on Harvick, Bell, Hamlin, Blaney, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, and Bowman. If I can make money on all those drivers, I'm not too far off on Reddick and Byron, and I'm starting to get a little closer on Chastain because I started investing in Chastain about 4 or 5 weeks before you guys did, which puts me in a good position. Now, you could make money on Logano and Larson. You're right there, though, with Hamlin. You're not too far back with Kyle Busch, Blaney, Elliott. And you still have a little bit of work to do on Truex and Harvick, and a lot of work to do on Chastain.
Yeah, Chastain is I'm waiting. I keep nickel and diming him right now because I got in too late just to see we're getting the playoffs. I'm not sold at all on Truex or Harvick, but I'm just keeping him there because you keep getting good odds, and they could get hot in the playoffs. They're veterans, but they may not even make playoffs, so that might fall off. That's why I'm not going all in on them yet. The other guys, I'm just kind of keeping them, as you said, with the money goes up in the playoffs. I'm like, all right, I might be good on these guys too. Now at this point, oddly enough, you could kind of start whittling this down to really Larson Elliott. I don't really feel good about Kyle Busch much anymore because his future is still up in the air. Hamlin in there, Chastain I throw in there. I still think Blaney, just because trends, and we've seen he can get hot. And I'd even throw, he's cooled down, but we see what he can do too is Logano. And that's about it. I don't really feel good about anybody else winning the actual championship this year. I feel good about those guys. So I'm just kind of keeping them afloat. Sure. And then as the playoffs go on, we'll hammer more. I narrowed it down a little bit more now, and I'm going to narrow it down even further because I think at least two of those drivers, they're not even going to make the playoffs. You might not have Truex or Harvick.
Yeah, possibly. And then CJ makes money on Hamlin. He's even with Larson and Kyle Busch. He's not too far back with Truex and Elliott or Logano. He's a little far back on Blaney and Chastain. So, but again, all of this is available on your website. Now, before we move on from this, if we're starting today, okay, and we take a look at the odds, how do you invest? Knowing Elliott is 3-1, which is not bad if you're starting today.
No.
If you believe he's going to win the championship, but chances are you might have to just go all in on Elliott and that's it. And just, all right, I like Elliott. I think he's going to win it. I feel pretty good. I'll throw my money on Elliott. I'll throw $500 on Elliott and try to make $1,500, something like that. But
you're probably, it's either or. It's either Elliott or the field.
But I like the field, the fact that because Elliott is so hot and we think he's going to cool off, all the other contenders, 3 of them are going to be in Phoenix, are 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 to 1.
That's what I'd probably punt on Elliott right now and go with those other guys. I mean, you're getting the defending champ who is still getting better at 8 to 1, 9 to 1, something around those range. It's 8 to 1. And if you look, he's got 3 top 5s his last 5 races.
Sure.
So he's getting better, and he just won the title last year. So yeah, for those odds,
I am definitely my top guy, which has really been the case for a lot of the season. Yeah, he's almost my second choice overall is Hamlin, because he's still getting good odds. He's 10 to 1 to win the championship. I am definitely, he's at the top of my list investment wise. So whatever money I spend, I'm making sure that he's the guy I'm going to try to make the most money on.
I'd say him and Larson are the top 2 he should, let's be honest. We'll use this. He's crossed the finish line first 3 times. 2 of them he got to keep. How much we know it gave an advantage. Was it enough that Chase Elliott still said even without it, he doesn't think he had much for them anyways. So he's kind of been in this win now mode for a while now. Now he's known he hasn't points race really all year. So he's going to enter the playoffs. This is what he's been doing all year now, where wins matter. So he's been in the championship for enough lately now that, I feel like, and he's good at Phoenix. So for 10 to 1 for a guy that is better than 20th in points right now, that's a steal.
How is his team with all the suspensions and all that stuff? Does he start? Will he enter the playoffs with a full team?
Yeah, right now they're good.
They're good now.
Right now they've got no problems. Yep. So I think at this point for them, they're like the Chase Elliott position. Go for wins. He's not going to get in the top 10 in points, the regular season points, to get any bonuses there. Okay. So their motto is, we got nothing else to lose. We've got 2 wins. We're automatically in. Let's just go for wins. We don't need stage points. We don't need to finish 4th. We don't need to finish 5th. Let's just win. Nothing else truly matters. So that will help him in some of these races that they don't care. They've shown this year enough that it doesn't matter where they finish. The next week, they're going to start back over and be just as good. So you really can't take it. Whereas like an Alex Bowman or William Byron, who have done nothing in the last 2 months, I don't trust them where I could trust somebody like Hamlin, who's proven that it doesn't matter what I've done. I'll win next week.
In our fantasy standings, and again, you can get our standings on racereviewonline.net. All of a sudden, and we said this could happen, CJ is in second place. So CJ
Elliott has gotten hot for him.
Yes. And he's got Elliott. So he is now he's just got whatever 50 points or so, 55 points ahead of you. So that could go week by week. And he's not too far away from me either, like 100 points. So that could change pretty quick as well. So we're all bunched up, and this could really change a lot, especially once the playoffs start and the points start increasing and so forth. So it should be a pretty fun rest of the way. And how do you feel with your team?
I feel good about it. I got 3 guys with 6 total wins between them.
Chastain
and I feel,
and Hamlin.
Yep. And Suarez, I feel this weekend especially, could have a good week. Kurt, hopefully he's healthy, can get back in there. Larson, he hasn't even won for me yet, and I have him. So, I feel good about my team. I think going to the playoffs when the points a little higher with, other than Almirola, my whole team is playoff bound. So I feel good about them right now.
All right, now let's go to our preview and our picks for the Verizon 200. There's only been one race. That was last year. It was a crazy race. It was a fun race. But I have to ask the magic question. What's the deal with the curb?
Well, we don't know yet. I'll find out tomorrow when I'm there. They're supposed to make some updates to it.
I would hope so.
I know they did. And the IndyCar guys run a different, because their cars are obviously lower to the ground. They don't. It's more finesse through there. So I know they talked about updating it, but you don't want to compromise the IndyCar show because those guys don't. So you can't change it too much. But I know that they were working on things. So I think they did do some updates with the curbing and the turn, maybe a little bit more space. But I'll see tomorrow when I'm out there. But yeah, they've got to do something because these cars, or the other factor too, I guess they don't necessarily have to do anything because these cars, the way they're built with the next gen, the underbody, you don't want to damage them. So there could be a lot of, hey, don't run over that curve. You're going to have to slow down and make the turn right because you'll be done if you run over that curve. I know that's probably worried some guys too. Yeah, they run Saturday.
So look, there's going to be a lot of wear and tear on the curb. So and look, nobody really had an issue until late in the race. So that could be the case again. A lot of wear and tear on Saturday, a lot of wear and tear on Sunday, and then the last 20, 30 laps, we could have catastrophe again.
Yep, let's hope not. But I'm just all for just taking it out. Just let the guys come through and whatever. It's better than what you got last year. Because that got to a point where it was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was
like we can't even run a lap. These guys are wrecking back there. So yeah, we'll see though. I think that's what makes this intriguing is it's all up in the air still.
Yeah, and again, different cars, so it's hard to evaluate last year's race with this year's race. But keep in mind, there was no Toyotas in the top 12 last year, and Toyota is struggling on the road courses this year. So, but Denny Hamlin was a Toyota and was leading the race up until the last 2 laps, and the whole drama with Briscoe, which was kind of funny. And again, you got to look back at the race. It's a good idea. You check out the last, 20, 30 laps, and you'll have a lot of fun remembering what happened, especially with Hamlin and Briscoe, because that had nothing to do with the curb. Those guys were just going at it, and Briscoe, I guess, thought that Hamlin, pushed him off and then he had a penalty. Yeah. And before Briscoe could go into serve his penalty, he rams Hamlin off the racetrack, and they're both done. So, and that opened it up for AJ to steal the race.
It did, and I feel like you could probably see something crazy like that this week, just because you don't get a lot of separation on this road. There's the front stretch is a high speed part, but all the turns, it's going to be hard for somebody in the end to get enough separation to where you might see somebody get moved if they need a win bad enough.
And I like the restarts there because it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
And if you get a restart late in the race with all these points and playoff standings on the line again, it could be fun. So that's the reason why I had so many drivers compared to you. I just kind of feel that we might have another race like that where anything can happen when you get all these types of wrecks and all this drama. And that happened last year when AJ stole the win. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to sprinkle a bunch of a few bucks here on about 6 or 7 drivers just in case.
I almost did. And I was like, I keep winning every week, but I'm not putting much of a dent in my profits. So I'm like, it's time
to take a gamble.
I got a lot of momentum. Let's just take the gamble. It's gambling after all. I was at a Cubs game yesterday when I'm like, you know what? I'm going to swing for the fence. I'm at a baseball game where you swing. I'm going to swing for the fence, and I'm going to take the favorites. And two, I feel like this year on the road course has separated. I feel like there's a bigger separation with somebody. I feel like Chevy, and with Hendrick dominating last year until that final stage, like those final few laps when the pit cycles completely flipped. I feel like it's not going to happen to them twice. And they're so close to winning a road course race this year. They've been the best road course team in the sport until this year. It's like it just feels like it's their time. And Elliott is just as hot as anybody we've seen in a while, probably over 2 years now in this series, that it's like it has Chase Elliott written all over it. And Kyle Larson, if he doesn't win, Larson should be right there. So I'm like, let's just gamble. And then not knowing McDowell was going to get penalized like he did, throw money his way, but I don't know if I were them, I'd overstep any boundaries coming this weekend.
But again, like you said, in a way you can't really do that because if you win and then you post-race inspection, you get it taken away, and then you're done for the year. So I don't think you can do that anyhow. All right, so so you only had 4 drivers: Elliott, Larson. You put all your money there, and then you also put some money on AJ and McDowell to see if you can get your money back if either of those two were to win. And that means because of that, we only had 1 driver that we all wagered on, and that was McDowell. That's it.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's because of you only taking 4 drivers and me not taking Elliott or Larson.
Yeah, it's kind of the same boat for that. Like the champ, it's them or the field because of their odds. It's like, do you take 4-1 and 6-1? You're not leave much elsewhere because that's my thing. Like if I'm not going to punt on these two because I feel like one of them, I really strongly feel one of them is going to win. The field, the rest of them are pretty good to put more, but it's like then I'm back to the same boat. I want $15. It's like let's stop winning $15, $20, $30. Let's go all in here.
Really 3 different strategies. You went all in on the favorites. I completely stayed away from the favorites, trying to take advantage with all the other drivers, and CJ went right down the middle. Kind of that strategy you've been saying that you've been doing, where I'm just going to, okay, if I win, I'm just going to make about $20 or $30, but it's not going to be that much.
No, and we're getting to the point now. It's like, what's the point of when I got it right here? I was 372 down.
Yeah, you got to start making money.
Larson wins.
Yeah.
If one of them wins like I think they should, but I have all these other guys, so I go from 372 down to 342 down.
How many races in a row have you won?
I'll have to look.
I think it's like probably 7 or 8.
I was going to say 7 or 8. It's exactly what I was going to say. So we're going almost 2 straight months now that it's like, all right, and I'm still 300 and some down. That shows you it's like I keep hitting winners. And the winners that I'm hitting, I felt good about them going into the week anyways. Like there's not a lot of guys that I fluked my way into winning. It's not, I thought they would win. So this week I'm like, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with the few that I feel like will win, throw a couple sleepers to get my money back, and let's see if this works. It's either going to go all in work or nothing.
The last race you didn't win was the Coke 600. That was race 14.
That's right. Fine. Yeah.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 7 in a row.
7.
So since that time, you made 70 one week. You made 24. So that's 94. 36. It's 130.
Yep.
Okay. 26. It's 156. 65. What is that?
150. That's 2. What was it? 156.
Yes, that's 65.
265 to 211.
Okay, you're at 211.
Yeah, 211.
And then where are you? Here you are. 14.
So 225.
And then last week, 36.
35, 45, 55. It's $261.
So $261 you made up in the last 7 races, which is an average of
30, almost $34, I guess.
$35 a
So
race.
again, 30.
Something like that.
So I would have been, again, instead of 372, like about said, 330, 340. When you're going to the playoffs soon, it's like let's cut this down.
Hey, you can get back to even, but you're gonna have to win the next 14, 15 races in a row.
Yeah, and that'll get me to about the finish. Yeah. So it's like let's make a gap. Yeah. Let's start swinging for some fences here.
Okay, so as far as the other picks, so Chastain, CJ was the only one that went with Chastain, and I think Chastain is definitely dangerous. He won Circuit of Americas this year. He's the only thing was, but again, different car and a different year. He didn't handle this particular track well last year, but nobody cares really about that considering what's going on with Chastain this year. So yeah, but the only thing is though he's 7-1.
Yeah, I thought that was a little steep for him because him and Suarez, I feel like Hendrick and Trackhouse are probably the best two road course teams this year overall. I mean, Suarez won Sonoma, so they've got 2 of the 3 road course races Trackhouse has won, and Chastain's been in the top 10, I think, 2 of the 3 himself. So do I feel he's actually going to win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and he's pissed off a bunch of people in the process? No. I feel like if it comes down to it, Chase Elliott owes him a payback. I'm not so sure Hamlin and Chastain are even. I think Hamlin would still wreck him again to win if it came down to it. I just think there's enough people out there that sees how Ross Chastain has raced others that if it comes down to a regular season race, a win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and let's just say it's a Briscoe Hamlin, they're tight together.
Forget it.
You're
right.
I think he's getting moved.
This is an easy racetrack and Watkins Glen to get him out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think it even has to be somebody he's had a problem with this year. I think it could be somebody random like Austin Cindric, who doesn't really have a problem with anybody, but they see how Chastain has raced others for the win. That look, he would do the same thing, so I'm going to move him. So I feel like races like that for 7-1 scares me a little bit, knowing that even if he is winning and led every lap minus the last one, he didn't lead the last one. You don't win any money for that. So I punted on him at 7-1, and that's why I went with Larson.
I put a little bit of money on Reddick and also Cindric at 10-1 and 12-1. Reddick won Road of America. He last year in this race,
5th at Coda.
Yes, last year in this race, he was stage point racing, so he won the 2 stages, which is the reason why he didn't finish all that well, and he also got torn up late in the race. One of those other drivers that got torn up in the race. So last year it didn't really count, and so that's why I'm not worried about where he finished. So I think 10-1 is not bad. And Cindric also, this is his best type of racetrack. He's been consistent on all of them, and even finished 9th last year when he spun out early in the race and lost a bunch of lost positions, and still finished in the top 10. Suarez is also 12-1, but nobody put money on Suarez. That had to be kind of hard for you to let go on Suarez.
It did.
But you got him on your fantasy team.
I do, and that's what's like. I got these guys fantasy wise, Hamlin too, that I still got there. I was like, but when it comes to winning the money, it's like I could throw money all these guys' way because you could make a case for all of them. It's like, all right, what are you going to win out of it? You're going to win $20. So, but I would not be shocked if Suarez won. I would not be shocked if Cindric won.
Sure.
I'd be a little shocked with Reddick just because of all changing teams, philosophy, and now, I mean, because we're getting close to being able to tape a silly season show because now there's more and more. We're going to August. Kyle Busch doesn't have a seat. Now there's rumors going around that Kyle's not going to return. The team's not ready to put Ty Gibbs up. And get this is the new rumor. Either Kurt Busch moving from 2311 to replace his brother because he's got 1 year left, or 2311 and Toyota buy out Reddick from RCR. Like, look, he's a lame duck anyways. Yeah, let's bring him over a year early.
Yeah.
So there's all that controversy stuff that
he finished second last week.
Yeah. Well, yeah, technically fourth. They moved him up to second. Yeah. But yeah, so like they could put it behind him, but are they gonna? Is Tyler Reddick gonna be the first guy to win twice on a road course this year? with Chase Elliott's in the field, it was hard for it. 10-1 was a little steep.
Sure,
if he was
absolutely.
20-1, I probably would have jumped on it. But I just thought the odds this week, you could make a case for a lot of these guys. But when are you ever going to see Cedric, Suarez, and Reddick between 10-1 and 12-1? Yes. That's a little steep for me. So
16-1. The only one that CJ went with was Truex. I went with Blaney, Briscoe, and Truex. And look, I said this last week. I'm just going to keep taking Blaney, Truex, and Harvick every week until they win, and because I know that's what their main goal is, and I also know that they're capable of it. And I get Truex is obviously the biggest issue because of the setup has not been good, but he did finish 7th at Circuit of America. He did finish a respectable 13th at Road America. And last year, different car, different year, but he was actually really good on this track last year. He just was involved with everything. If it could have happened, it happened, and he was involved with it all. So. Yeah,
he was like a human punching bag there last year. But I feel like for him, he's in a situation. I would almost, if I were in their case, go one more race. Yeah, get that gap to over 100. Knowing
might happen.
It's hard. Elliott's so hot right now. Larson's heating up that he's already got a deficit. We already know Toyota's car are not translated well over the road course. So you've got to do something different anyways. So if all the other guys are electing for track position and giving stage points away, just do the opposite. Take the stage points. And we saw it last year. Elliott and Larson punted on the stage points, got the track position. They still didn't win. It flipped back the other way again. So might be a path for them, which could, if the race plays out, it might take him to not a top 20 finish, but he might have a bunch of stage points to go with it too. So
I also, again, had Blaney. So he was 2nd last year in this race, and he's been solid on the road courses this year. No top 5s, but solid, hanging around. And then Briscoe, again, we just said it. He was 2nd in this race last year. Could have actually was 1st in some of the other. He led 12 laps, but could have won. Who knows if he didn't have that altercation with 2 laps to go with Denny Hamlin, and he's 16-1. So that's the reason.
Blaney's he's a steal at 16-1. I mean, he's got, I think, 3 top 11s in the 3 road course races.
Yes.
And people need IndyCar world, we know, NASCAR world, maybe forget that Roger Penske owns the place. So they're showing up with good cars. They're showing up with the extra motivation that, look, we want to win this race for this is the guy that signs our paychecks. Well, this is his building. He owns this place now. So they take extra pride coming here. So you're getting 16-1 for a Penske guy that finished 2nd last year. That's been looking pretty good on road course. I feel like that's probably him or Allmendinger being 20-1 to steal of the groupings here. Those are probably the 2 guys that.
Yeah, because Kyle's 16-1, and see, Truex at least has shown something. Kyle's been awful on these road course setups this year. What is it? 29th, 30th, and 28th.
Yes, and you look at his finishes on the season, and yes, he crossed the finish line 2nd, but of course the car's cheating. It scored 36. So you go back to Sonoma, 30th, 21st, 29th, 20th, 12th,
no top 10.
36th. I don't think he's going to magically, with Toyota has that deficit, win this week. I just don't see it. No. So, but you put Blaney in those odds. I'm like, I'd take Blaney all day for that.
Again, you got AJ at 20-1. He is the defending champ. We know we can race on road courses. Yep. Bell's also 20-1. Nobody went with Bell, but don't discount Bell. We know Bell could win on a road course, and he's still racing really well. Matter of fact, at 20-1 to win the championship, he may not be a bad bargain to try to just make your money back.
He'd be a good one for that. And he's got 2 straight top 5s, and he's got 3 top 8s in his last 5, and his one of his 2 wins was on a road course. He was going road courses last year. He was in the top 5 here. He got caught up in that same wreck with Truex and Kyle. For 20-1, it's worth throwing maybe $5 his way if you're betting 100 across the board to win your money back.
And Denny Hamlin, CJ and I put money on Hamlin again. He could have won this race last year, so I thought, why not? And then at Harvick at 25, again, I told you. By the way, Harvick also has 3 top 11s on the road courses this year, and he was 4th at Sonoma.
Yep, he's been running well. Yeah, for 25-1. I think these odds makers are telling you everything you need to know about Toyota and road courses. When you look at look, 16-1, 16-1, 20-1, and 20-1 are the four Gibbs guys. They're kind of telling you right now, Toyota's probably not going to have much of a say in this.
Oh, and by the way, because Chastain screwed up Hamlin decides to get retribution on Chastain. When he does it, Chastain winds up, after he gets wrecked, slamming into Harvick, who was right there last week and had a really good if there was going to be anybody that could have competed potentially with Hamlin and with Kyle, it was Harvick. But once again, Harvick just had some bad luck. But other than that, Harvick had a top 5 last week.
Well, yeah, think about him for a second. For 2 weeks, he gets stage points and finishes ahead of Truex in New Hampshire, but Bell wins and takes him out. Last week, he was running arguably, I think you could make a case, he probably would have finished third. He was right there with Chase. The first 2 cars get DQ'd. What if he doesn't run into Chastain?
I think
he might have got the win.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can make a case for Harvick right now that it's like he's been running well. The finishes aren't necessarily showing it because everybody else. But
by the way, if he wins a race, watch his championship odds.
Oh, yeah.
If you think he's going to win a race and make the playoffs, should invest a little bit of money on him to win the championship because they're so high.
Oh, yeah.
You can get anywhere from 40 to 100 to 1 on him winning the championship.
And who's got the most Phoenix wins ever? Him.
There you go.
Where's the championship race?
Yeah.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
He only has to beat 3 cars that day.
That's
and
it.
we've seen every year now the championship cars, no matter how
battle of 4.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's it.
And that's all he's got to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a steal right now for the futures to grab Harvick.
And then I took the 330 to 1 shots. Bowman, Buescher, and McDowell. Buescher 6th at Road America, 2nd at Sonoma, 12th here last year. Bowman 2nd at Circuit of Americas, and I said it last week. I would consider Bowman with long shot numbers again if he starts showing momentum. Okay, the 11th place finish last week or 13th, whatever. That shows me a little bit of momentum, and we know that he's capable of stealing races, so that's why I put a couple of bucks on him as well. But obviously, you guys like McDowell out of the 30.
I do. He's a road racer by nature. Again, 30 to 1. He's been running good. And the other theory we've been hearing is there's been talks Bowman's a free agent at the end of next year, and you're looking at his finishes right now. That does Hendrick buy him out early and bring Kyle Busch back in?
Interesting.
Does he hey? Because you look at his finishes, it's like a lot of times you can look at finishes and know something's going on. And you look at his finishes, he's not done anything. And has there been discussions behind the scenes that we don't – because you look at Kyle Busch's finishes. They took a nosedive. Bowman's finishes took a nose. Is there something going on? Just like, coincidentally enough, in IndyCar, which would be another completely show, but the defending champions, Alex Palou, I don't know if you've been following that saga between he thinks he's a free agent at the end of the season. He's not. Chip Ganassi holds the option. Chip Ganassi – let's rewind back to the last year or 2020. Alex Palou is on a 1-year deal with Dale Coyne Racing. I bring money. The money was done. He thought he was done. He was going to move back home to Spain. And Ganassi was like, I got an opening. I'll bring you over on like a small scale. I'll give you 2 years guaranteed. The 3rd year I'll hold your option and we'll do it on a smaller scale, but you have to prove it.
Okay.
He wins the championship in his first year.
Yeah.
Proven.
That proves it.
So he was like, I want to restructure my deal. And Ganassi was like, fair. Let's discuss this. Let's negotiate. Let's come into something. Well, you got to keep in mind the season in IndyCar didn't end last year until the end of September, and the new season started in February, which is later than normal and earlier than normal. They didn't get a deal done yet. Well, Palou was mad and went to Arrow McLaren and was like, hey, I'm a free agent. And they're like, you are? So let's talk. They're talking. Ganassi in May finds out about this, fuming mad. And was like, you're not going anywhere. I hold your rights for next year. So Chip Ganassi Racing a couple weeks ago, knowing that Palou said, I'm going to leave, and they basically said, no, you're not. So they put out, we're exercising their option. He's going to stay here. 4 hours later, McLaren puts out an announcement, we signed Alex Palou for next year. So you got 2 teams battling for the defending IndyCar champion Guess what gets announced today? Ganassi is taking his current driver, the guy that just won the championship, to court. This is in courts now, and he's still right. And you look at his stats when Ganassi found out to now, one top 5. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
You can really look at this stuff, but you look at this weird Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick. We saw what Truex.
And by the way, good move by McLaren, because you in that position, you want it to go to the courts because you know you're going to get him. It's just it's going to be a finance. They're going to have to write a check out, pay off the other team, but they're going to get their guy now. Because they don't really want him. They know that this guy doesn't even want to be on the team. So it's just a matter of how much can we get out of McLaren for letting you take him.
Yeah, they're both sides are saying the right thing now. Ganassi's like, we're not letting him out. He's under contract, but you have to. And McLaren's like, we're not going to buy him out. We didn't know his contract situation. He came to us.
Yeah.
So they're saying the right things. But if you're Ganassi, it's like, in such a competitive series like IndyCar, they've already cut his data off. He doesn't know all the information, because why are you going to let him privy to this to take to the new team? You can't win a championship with this driver driving for you, but you're not talking to him, and then also have a court battle against the said driver and expect to. You're not going to. They already know he's not going to race for him next, because Ganassi's pretty much, the rumor was, and I'm going to exercise the option. He's on a smaller scale. I will pay him to go away, but not race anywhere. I'm going to hold his option. I'm going to pay you, but you're not racing anywhere.
Yeah.
Where McLaren can be like, that's fine. We'll just get him in 24 then. Why would we pay when we can at least get him for 24? So, but still, it's all in courts. And it's
got to be fixed. The whole system is garbage. We've said it before. The silly season is just, it's got to go. It doesn't make any sense. And this is the biggest reason. I thought I was a free agent. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So unless he was just being, of course I knew, but who knows if he knew or not? It's still silly that two guys believe that they own his rights.
Yeah, and you got like Bowman, who he's under contract. You can buy him out. Like, hey, you know what? We're under contract, but we don't think you're good enough anymore. So you're owed $5 million for next year. We're just going to give it to you now. You're free to go, because I got Kyle Busch over here. They already have a sponsor. Yeah. They've got Ally. Wouldn't you think if you're Ally, you're like, what can you do to get him? Do we need to pony up a little bit? Because nothing against Alex Bowman, but it's like, that's Kyle Busch.
Yes.
He's still kind of in his prime. Gibbs can't find a sponsor to sign him. Well, we're a sponsor. We're tied to you. You want to go get him. So there's a lot of moving pieces here that could get real interesting. And if you're Bowman, do you know about this? Is this why you're driving distracted?
Has to be. Makes sense. Truex has been driving a lot better since his situation was put to bed.
Look what happens.
Yes.
Yep. Pato Award on the IndyCar side. Same with McLaren team. It got resolved. The dude went to a championship contender like that. Truex, like you said, is you can make a case if Truex didn't, as I said, piss away half the season trying to figure out his future. He's probably a championship front runner right now, because he probably has a win by then. And I bet you his season takes a drastic turn if he did this back in March or April at the latest. So contracts can hang over your head.
Absolutely.
And
they're only human. They got their own personal lives. So we don't think about it sometimes, especially because they're one person, as opposed to a whole team of players. Before I let you go, Logano, Kurt Busch, not bad bargains at 40 and 50 to 1. Why not throw a couple of bucks on those guys too?
Yeah, no, I would. I mean, like I said, if I didn't run out of the $100 limit on my other guys, I probably would have on both, because, like, again, it's a Penske track. Logano's 40 to 1. I took a risk on him, in Bristol Dirt last year at 33 to 1, and he won. Gateway, he was longer odds and won.
Hey, he was top 5 last year in this race until he got involved in the wreck.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been hot this season, but like I said, he's a guy that can turn it around.
Sure.
I mean, he's only got 2 top 5s since April. They were wins. So you never know with him.
And Kurt Busch was 6th last year.
Yeah. Again, it's a Toyota, but he's coming off of like a concussion like he could win. He's a veteran enough.
Hey, it's 50 to 1. It's not 20 to 1 or 15 to 1. So
exactly.
And then the other long shots, CJ put $2 on Jones at 100 to 1. I picked up the mantle for you for Custer and put $3 on Custer at 100 to 1. And also I put $2 on Bubba Wallace at 500 to 1. And I'm going to say this. I said this last week, and he actually had a good finish. I tell you what, if Bubba Wallace finishes in the top 10 and Keselowski doesn't, I might swap him. Because Bubba Wallace, ever since the Reddick thing, he's 2 for 2 in good races, good finishes.
The pit crew. Look by getting a new pit crew. What's going on with him? And he's running better. He's run the Xfinity race Saturday, so he's going to get some extra laps on the track before he gets there Sunday. So yeah, I mean for 500 to 1.
500 to 1's ridiculous. I know, come on.
It is. And Custer, he's the other guy that's been rumored that Kyle Busch is now getting linked to everywhere.
Yeah,
this is why he's so now there's rumors that Custer's dad has agreed to, you know what? Let's put him back the Xfinity series and let's go after Kyle, because they took a chance on Kurt. Remember when Kurt had his problems, he didn't bring a sponsor, and Haas saw him. Maybe they signed him. Well, that 41 car is Haas. Maybe they're like, you know what? He's sitting there, and Kyle has admitted he's talked to other teams. So you look at the Stewart Haas program. There's rumors Eric Almirola might come back for another year. Harvick's already there. Briscoe's not going anywhere. Custer's the only. I mean, he's 100 to 1 every week. It should be telling.
He was in the top 10 for a lot of the race last year. So
yeah,
you
never know.
This could be a race that he could fluke his way in. It could happen.
He could. Yep, he could.
But the other point though you made, Kyle Busch, even after this race, because he's probably gonna have a bad result until his situation is taken care of. I see no reason to put any money on him to win a race or to win a championship.
I don't either. And there's other layers. These guys all say the same thing. Oh, I'll let my people handle that. It doesn't affect me. It does. Because every one of them says the same thing when they are signed. It did affect them. You got to think of Kyle. These guys, again, he's a family man. He's married. He's got 2 kids now. It's kind of hard to go in knowing, I don't know what my future is. I don't know how do you look your kids? I don't know if daddy's going to have a job next year. I don't know what. And then you got the other wrinkle that he's got to be stressed about. He's got a truck team. And his truck team is wanting to run. He's not going to run for Ford and Cup, but stick with the Toyota team and his trucks. So that team, you got 300 plus employees. They're sitting there like, what are we doing next year? What are we doing? Are we running these Toyotas, or do we have to change?
Impossible to ignore. So
no,
he's got too many responsibilities.
Yep, and that's the good and bad of wearing those many hats, because now it's weighing over his head, and they're no farther now with the Gibbs camp than they were back in the winter. They don't have a sponsor lined up.
I would think that Kyle would probably want to get this done before the playoff. That's all. He has to.
You'd have to. That, or he's mentioned that if the deal doesn't get done, then he'd retire. So,
well, that'll take care of it.
Unless the Hendrick thing comes around. Or maybe Stewart Haas. I don't see him going anywhere else. Why would you? So then you retire, and then you figure out the truck team. But yeah, like you said, until he figures this out, I don't see any reason to, because it's always in your head. It'd be hard to get out of your head if you're him. So it's that situation. Once it gets taken care of, then you jump back on it. Because we have a feeling something is going to happen.
Yes.
You don't let a guy, the only guy that's won multiple championships in the series with 60 wins, sit there without anybody taking them. So eventually something is going to happen.
Yep.
And then his stats will get better.
Yep. And we'll be here to let everybody know when we think that time has come. Look, if the news would be so big, you probably figure it out for yourself. But the fact is, still, we'll let you know when we think it's a good time for any of these drivers to kind of get back into the swing of things, investing your money on them, because it's not just about stats, as we've been talking about for the past 10 or 15 minutes. There's a lot of personal, stuff that gets involved, personal business, and everybody is, like we said before, human, and you have to put that into the equation when we're, using our own money to wager on these guys.
Well, and think about doing your job. You go to your work, wherever your job may be, every day. You've done a good job. You're getting company awards, and you're doing everything right. And your boss comes in and says, "Hey, I need to have a chat with you. I can't find anything to fund you the rest of the way. Can you take a massive pay cut to do the same job you've been doing for all these years? Like, you want me to make less than everybody else in here to keep doing what I do?"
Yeah. No, I'll go somewhere else. Yeah.
And that's where he's at. And then everywhere else is kind of the same. Well, what can you bring? Well, I don't have anything to bring. I
don't understand, though. Why are they treating him this way?
Well, it's because they don't have – that's where the business model is got to flip, because racing's so expensive.
Oh, okay.
he's losing the sponsor. M&M's, Skittles, they're gone. They have no funding for that car. So they're basically saying, let's just say he makes, I'm sure he's one of the highest paid drivers in the garage.
How in the world can they not find a sponsor for Kyle Busch?
Shows you the business model right now. That the fact that you can't find,
that is nuts.
Yep, and then the worse he drives, the harder it's going to be for his. Like, hey, come sponsor this car that's finished 20th for 7 straight weeks. No thanks. But that's where it's hard. That's where the business model is. You got other drivers sitting here with money to bring. That, hey, I'll take that ride. I'll pay you for that ride. Oh, okay. You mean I don't have to go search for millions of dollars? You're bringing a sponsor? Yeah, and I'll drive it for half the cost that guy will. Okay, here, sign on the dotted line.
Yep.
That's what's hurt this market, and that's why this new deal, I think in 24, when the TV deal, the new one comes about, the teams are negotiating with NASCAR and getting a bigger piece of this pie because the tracks get so much money. Like the tracks make money before anybody shows up. So the teams are like, well, what about us? So Denny Hamlin's been vocal about that. Give us more of the pie, and we don't have to sign pay-to-play drivers. We could sign guys don't worry about a sponsor. And that's kind of what he's operating them in the track house right now while they're doing so good and getting all these sponsors and getting all these drivers is because, hey, look, we don't need you to bring money. Michael Jordan has money. Pitbull has money. I've got people that have money. Let's just go get the best drivers. And we'll get the drivers, and then the sponsors come after.
Yeah.
That's the model they're trying to change it to. But some of these old contracts, they're expiring, and they're not wanting the transition. It's just that internal battle right now. And like somebody like Kyle, it's how do you ask somebody to come in and take less money if you're him? I just find that if you're him,
yeah.
And he's an ego guy.
Sure.
Why would he want to take less?
Yeah.
So here we are. This is going Monday's August 1st. They're not going to get a deal done today or tomorrow, and then you got the race weekend. Imagine going to August, knowing the season ends in November, and you don't have anything lined up for past Phoenix in November.
And you got truck team. Has to.
So
I can't imagine he doesn't know what's going on by the playoffs. Can't imagine.
No, and again, like we talked, these guys they're human beings. At the end of the day, they're still human beings, and this would definitely weigh on you if you're one of them.
And it has. Yeah, we've seen the results. So.
Yep.
Okay, next week is what?
Michigan.
Okay, so we get out of this road course stuff and this Pocono stuff. So we go to Michigan, which, how's Michigan? Either or, and maybe with the new car, maybe good?
Fontana was good. It's a similar track. This has been paid before Fontana.
Should be good.
Should be good. And then you got Richmond, and then really wild. Then you got Watkins Glen to Daytona. So we're really ramping things up and then going to the playoffs.
When's Daytona race?
Last weekend of August. I don't know the date of the top. 26, 27.
You're going to have the last weekend of August. It's going to be the first week of college football season. You're going to have, I think the FedEx Cup playoffs end like the last week of August. You got the NFL season like the next week. You know, the playoffs start for NASCAR the week after. Wow, that's going to be just a great, great week. A great time of year to be a sports fan. So,
we're really ramping into that now.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Great job as always, Eric. RaceReviewOnline.net. Check it out for everything that you've been hearing us talk about, the futures, our picks results, and definitely our fantasy standings and all that kind of stuff. And everything else that you can check out, all the other articles that Eric works on at both IndyCar and NASCAR. And yes, let us know what you think about a lot of the topics that we've been talking about before in the comments section below. And please subscribe to the channel. That is also very important. And if you enjoy the content, please share it on social media to your friends, because we can't share it. They don't allow us. They penalize us for that kind of stuff. So anyway, appreciate it, Eric. We'll talk to you again next week. And CJ's time is running out before he comes back. So another month and CJ will be joining us to preview the playoffs.
Yep. We're getting close.
Yeah, we're getting there. All right. Thanks, Eric. Talk next week.
Thank you. All right. Sounds good.